it's demolished.
No, do we get any word on how it may have started? I mean, I think people think of a hurricane and think continuous rain and something like this. They don't expect to see a fire, especially one as destructive as this one has clearly been. Was it an electrical issue, or are we still waiting word on that?
I can tell you that it smells like the smell that you get when there's an electrical fire out here, but it's hard to say how this fire started. I knocked on a few doors and talked to a few neighbors that were walking down the sidewalk and going by. It seems most of them were smart and did evacuate and weren't home, so we're unable to find out exactly how that fire did start at this point, but oof, gosh, it's bad. I mean, the whole roof, there's like a little chunk of roof here. I don't know if you can see it over the trees that's left, but other than that, the entire roof caved in, not an interior wall left in the house, and even the garage door melted. This is just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. The good news in all of this is that it doesn't look like it spread to any surrounding houses, so the firefighters, ooh, did you hear that pop? Looks like something behind the house might have just exploded.
Leading to the thought that it could be electrical.
Situation here.
Yeah. And you know, certainly the family is probably thinking, boy, you know, if we had just stayed, because look at everybody else's houses, we could have probably protected. But they should remember, they have been left to themselves to fight that fire. There were no fire trucks that were coming out in the middle of the storm to help them put that fire out. It's a very good thing that they got out. Yes, they could have been there when the fire started, but they would have used their own devices to put that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect example. Holly mentioned the family evacuated, so thank goodness for that. Holly, are you even seeing anyone on that street who's nearby, who's coming by to ask you maybe what's happening?
Hey, there's been a lot of people that have come. In fact, when we first pulled up, there was a man here in a truck with his dog and his daughter. They'd just come back over the bridge, and he was calling 911 because, as you can see, it still is smoldering pretty. So he wanted to make sure that, you know, this doesn't flare back up. The fire department hasn't come back out, but obviously they have been here because there's caution tape up. But everybody seems very curious as to how this happened, and obviously very concerned that this poor family has nothing to come home to.
Is the power on out there? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that if you said it. The power is on out there?
You know what? I didn't ask that. I was too busy asking about the fire, but it didn't look that way. And some folks that I'd spoken to over at the beach said that they didn't have any. So I'm going to believe that they don't have power, but I can't give you a definite answer on that. Actually, I just saw somebody open their garage door. You can go down there and ask in a few minutes and get back to you on that one. But a lot of people here out at the beach are still without power.
All right. We know it's not lightning related because you can get lightning when you have a hurricane.
Right. Well,
it could have been. The only thing I can figure is that we did see a lot of big blue pops all the night, which you see when transformers start blowing. I don't know if there's a transformer near here or what, but they did lose quite a few transformers beachside because we could see the big blue pops in the distance.
Okay. All right, Holly. Well, we'll check back with you as you get more information. Thank you so much for the update there. And as Holly said, the important thing is it's clear that this home had been evacuated, so that's good.
You know, just to reiterate, go back to what we were talking about with Dr. Nam, with social media, makes a person feel empowered. I didn't know that he would answer the question the way that he answered it. How much social media has helped him in their forecasting. We've had very few fatalities, which means the word got out to social media, and the pictures that people were seeing might have scared them. Okay, we'll get out of the way. So we've had very few fatalities. And B, during a feeling of helplessness when you walk away, but to be able to share and to know that you are helping with the forecasting, at least there's a sense of empowerment through social media that you're making a difference.
Absolutely. It's as simple as searching a hashtag on Twitter, and Hurricane Matthew is the top trending topic right now. So we're going to be back with much more coverage of Hurricane Matthew right here on Fox 35. Stay with us.
we appreciate you staying with us this afternoon. A lot of you are just stuck inside the house watching the coverage of Hurricane Matthew. We're glad that you chose us. The storm is making its way out, but there is still an awful lot going on at the beach, a little bit north of here right now.
Yeah, so we will shortly get to Brooks Tomlin, who's going to tell us more about where exactly Matthew is headed right now. But we want to go to Titusville, where Fox 35's Valerie Boy has more on some serious damage to a motel.
Well, I'm here at the Blue Bay Beach Club, where residents are evacuating because the roof collapsed. If you take a look above, it's a 5-story building. The roof collapsed early this morning. You can see parts of the roof are actually scattered all over the place. Some of it actually fell in that truck over there. For many residents, it was very, very frightening.
I've got 2 kids, my mom, everything is still up there. Like, we're left high and dry.
With a lot of wind, the door shaking, the screen door shaking, and the roof blowing off. But the roof ain't too bad because it's got gypsum board, so it's going to absorb all that water. So I don't know if they're flooded upstairs.
And they didn't even call. A friend called and said, get here now. The building is being condemned. I had 20 minutes to get from Port St. John to here, get my stuff, and I still have stuff up there. We're told don't take furniture, just take what you need, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to get back in Monday or Tuesday and call FEMA. We don't have anywhere for you to go.
It's pretty bad. We got about 2 inches of water. It's all over the floor. Destroyed all the furniture.
And residents were told that they had to be out by 2 o'clock this afternoon. Many say they have family and friends, and others say they have no idea where they're going to go. In Titusville, Valerie Boy, Fox 35 News.
And now we want to get the latest on where Hurricane Matthew is.
I'm looking at that video behind Brooks. It's usually such a pretty picture there of Daytona Beach, and not so much today, Brooks.
Not a pretty weather picture, but I tell you what is pretty, Bob and Sunny, is the fact that the tide is going out through all of Central Florida. We have offshore winds, meaning the water is being pushed from the beach in all of Central Florida, Flagler, Volusia, Brevard counties. That means whatever storm surge happened as it passed by through the morning to midday hours, that is it, because we were seeing the ocean receding throughout all of Central Florida, so that's good news. Still have hurricane warnings in effect. Northern Brevard County, Volusia County, Flagler County, and then tropical storm warnings, southern Brevard County, and then also into Osceola County, Seminole County, Orange County, Lake County, Marion, Alachua County. I think some of those will be lifted as we go through the 5 o'clock hour with the next advisory from the National Hurricane Center. A couple of interesting things with Guardian Live Weather Radar. We've been using this tool ever since late yesterday morning. When Matthew was in the Bahamas and it was finally within reach of radar, we've been using Guardian Live Weather Radar. A couple of things of note. Number one, the center now pretty much due east of St. Augustine, so the winds offshore Flagler County and Volusia County. Also in the last couple of frames there, it does start to move off more towards the north, and that's the turn that we were talking about for the last couple of days. It'll move parallel and then turn north and then eventually northeast. We still have some pretty good winds through parts of Central Florida. Winds with the storm, 115 miles an hour, confined to the northeast side of the storm. And that's what we've been talking to the Hurricane Center. If you watched, of course, last night or this morning, Glenn Richards, Jamie King said the same thing. The reason why we were so lucky is because the eastern and the northeastern Iowa stayed offshore. We had some very strong winds at the western Iowa, brushed Canaveral, but the eastern Iowa is where the catastrophic winds are and will continue to be, at least in the short term. They did not make their way to shore, and thankfully, that's why he referred to us as being lucky. West winds right now at 31 in DeLand, southwest at 31 in Melbourne. We had Daryl Nail a few minutes ago showing how, I think it was the Indian River or the Banana River was coming ashore on the eastern islands on the west coast there of his islands, Merritt Island, and over towards Cocoa Beach. So here's Matthew moving away, clearing out. Rain done Orlando south. By 4 o'clock, rain's going to be done Orlando north, except for the far north side, where it'll be done at 6 o'clock. And that's what our computer forecast model shows. Take a look at this, folks. We might have a sunset. Some peaks and pokes of sun in Central Florida as we head into and through the sunset hour as Matthew continues to the north. And then tomorrow and Sunday, both days looking very nice. Tomorrow still breezy, Sunday looking fantastic, and we're going to see some cooler, drier air coming into Central Florida as we go through Sunday and Monday. Last view, one more time, want to show you the live view from Daytona Beach shores. Yeah, we still have a lot of wind, still dealing with clouds and rain, but the good news, any kind of surge is now basically back out to sea. Back to you.
All right, Brooks, thank you so much. We have a quick update, a sad update actually, about the damage and the toll that Hurricane Matthew took in Haiti.
Unfortunately, that death toll has been continuing to rise and now is topping 800. I think the number I saw was 843, and that is up significantly. 200, 300 we saw last night.
Yeah. So very tragic and very fortunate here in Florida to have seen this storm take the path it did and do considerably less damage to us. So our thoughts and our prayers with Haiti. Our coverage of Hurricane Matthew here in Florida will continue coming up.
We'll be right back. Continuing coverage here of Hurricane Matthew. We're definitely on the backside of the coverage as the storm is starting to make its way out. But this is in many ways the difficult side of the coverage because we're getting out and we're seeing all of the damage that is out there. A very dangerous time to go out. Most of the injuries happen now, not when the storm is coming through because you're in a safe place. It's now when you're going back out and assessing the damage. There are power lines that are down. That don't drive over them. Don't go anywhere near them. If you see them, report them. That's it, because you could get shocked and killed through that. And just navigating the roads is difficult with all the branches that are out there.
Right. We want to check in. We've been checking with our reporters who are stationed all across Central Florida to see how certain neighborhoods are doing. Tom Johnson has been filing reports from Winter Garden and just sent us this one.
We continue our downed oak tree tour of Central Florida on Hearthglen Boulevard in Winter Garden. And you can see this one right here, about 40 or 50 feet, split off right here and went right into these folks' house. It's laying on the roof right now. We're told that it had been leaning that way before all of this started, and then it finally came down in the middle of Hurricane Matthew today. Again, split right there. Inside the house, you can see where one of the branches off the tree punctured right through the roof, right through the ceiling, and into this bedroom. And by the way, this is the other suite, and the couple who own this house say they were staying on the other side of the house because they were worried that this exact thing might happen, and it did. Staying on the other side of the house because they were worried that this exact thing might happen, and it did about 7:30 a.m. So now the process of fixing it and cleaning it up, or really cleaning it up and then fixing it, they've got to get all of these branches off of the roof and get the tree out of the way so they can start to fix that big hole in the roof and the ceiling of this house. More of the damage done by Hurricane Matthew in Central Florida. Back to you guys.
Yikes. It's unfortunately an all too common scene right now.
Absolutely. Out at the Cape, they pretty much got everybody out of there and locked it down. Just the essential personnel stayed out at Cape Canaveral. Let's go out with Alcide Segui to see how they rode out the storm. You gonna make a liar out of me?
1 second. We promise it's coming.
Okay, these things happen. As I was saying, they got everybody out because that is the intricate equipment that is out there, and as great as these rockets are, and as powerful they can go to darn Mars right now. In fact, didn't we were just saying they're landing something out there right now? That's some probe that's landing out there. I got to check back in on that as well. Multitasking, as delicate as that stuff is, or is that as powerful as it is, it's very, very delicate and does not stand up to hurricane force winds very well.
No. So on that note, let's see how Cape Canaveral is doing. Here it is. We promised this time. Alcide Segui.
Hurricane Matthew continues to move north, but we're still feeling the effects right here along the East Coast. David Berkey, letting us hang out in your backyard. Thanks so much for letting us do that. But we picked this because the view is spectacular, and it gives you a really good idea of what storm is doing even now. It's moving northern, but the effects of it, the tail end of it, you're still seeing right here at your house. What was it like early on when the storm came through?
We had lots of wind. The waves were crashing into the seawall. They came up over top of the seawall. We lost some palm trees, lost those on the roof, but never lost power or anything like that. So just real windy.
And those feeder bands are still coming in now. I mean, you're seeing about 30, 40 mile per hour winds, and because of that, you're still losing shingles even now.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So your father-in-law lives on the Barrier Island, just on the other side of the Indian River, which, by the way, no one is allowed on, no one is allowed off that island until FDOT, Florida Department of Transportation, goes out there and approves it. They're making sure that it is safe to travel on and off that bridge. So again, until that happens, everyone is stuck on the island. With that said, your father-in-law had an opportunity to speak to one of his neighbors. What did they tell you?
They said there was a little bit of flooding there. He had trees in his backyard, but they didn't know each other than that. So.
What were you? I mean, this could have been a lot worse. Let's be honest. A Cat 4 going through the East Coast. This could have been a lot worse. And what are your thoughts now? Just kind of breathing a sigh of relief, huh?
Yeah, we dodged a bullet, so yeah, we're definitely fortunate.
All right, David, thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it, man. By the way, early on, we went over the bridge towards the Kennedy Space Center, and we saw the Kennedy Space Center, the visitor center itself, and I can tell you that it's intact, no damage at all, at least not from what we saw. Along the East Coast, we did see some damage, especially when we went to Vero Beach North, especially as we got closer and closer here to Cape Canaveral, as well as the smaller cities just south of that as well. But for the most part, everyone breathing a sigh of relief. No doubt, this could have been a lot worse. Alcide Segui, back to you.
All right, Alcide, thanks. Ridiculous word of a boil water alert. It's important information.
That's not surprising.
No, not at all. Holly Hill in Volusia County, boil the water that you will be consuming until future notice.
Boil the water, and hopefully you got power to boil that water. Otherwise, we're building fires out there in Holly Hill.
Yeah, otherwise, go to your nearest store as soon as it reopens.
Yeah, we knew Volusia County was going to be hard hit, so these are the things we're going to have to deal with. All right, we'll be back in just a short couple of minutes. Fox 35.